Uh, our next guest today on Community Focus in Washington County is Judge John Settles. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Lisa. It's good to be here.
I've been trying to get you on forever.
We've had conflicting dates for quite some time, haven't we?
You're a busy man. Well, John, I'm glad that you can take this time to be with us today. And I just want to talk a little bit about you and growing up in Washington County. Let's just start at the beginning here, John.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know you were going to do that. I thought we were talking politics and
we are
county
of course.
Business and.
But you know, I love it when we have people that are still in our community. That's something I'm always emphasizing, how important it is. If there's any way, when you grow up, to stay in Washington County.
Lisa, you and I are definitely on the same page when it comes to that. And I'll go back and give you a little background. I was born and raised here in Washington County. My mother taught school here, all of her education and teaching life, except for a very short period when she first started. She was in Campbellsville. My dad was a general farmer, tobacco, beef, dairy. He helped run tobacco warehouse during the winter, and he was involved in a lot of different leadership positions with the Farm Bureau and conservation. My mother was involved in leadership and education, and so it kind of was modeled to me. I have one older brother that is now deceased, Jeff Settles. I have a wonderful wife, Jill, that works at the Washington County School Board, or Board of Education. I have two children. Both are married, and each have one little daughter. One lives in Lexington, Kentucky, and the other one in Charleston, South Carolina. But I want to touch on something that you said that is just really near and dear to me, and that is young people that are raised here and coming back here. I am so glad that I did. The only time I was ever out of Washington County for any extended period of time is when I went to Western. Graduated from Western, went down there 4 years, had a wonderful time, wonderful opportunity. And I had other job opportunities, but I decided to come back home. And I've never regretted that decision. And there have been a few in the generation that's coming through now, that's getting into adulthood. I see some of those, such as Daniel Carney and Charlie Haydon and Lauren Riney, and I'm going to miss someone. I know I am, and I don't mean to insult anyone. But they are outstanding young individuals that have chosen to come back to Washington County, and I haven't heard a single one of them say that they regret it. Sure, we don't have some of the amenities that other communities have, but we're so close to those amenities. But we have such a wonderful community. I have people tell me all the time how they envy our community. Crit Llewellyn was here just last week, and you and I were in the same meeting, and she's just always so gracious in the praise for our community and how wonderful it looks, the people, how friendly everybody is, and you know, in the whole scheme of things, that means so much. When raising a family, and we have a wonderful school system. I don't think that's an excuse that anyone should take or use, that they can't provide their children with a good education. We have two colleges. We have a technical college, and we have a liberal arts college. Just had an inauguration of the 8th president, Dr. Cindy Nadinger, and I just see so many opportunities here in our community, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that has been a focal point of mine, of how we can make our community attractive enough with job opportunities that we can keep some of our best and our brightest. Because if we want this community to look like it does now, 20 years from now, we need to keep our own, those that have understood how our community wraps their arms around people. Now, sure, we love to have newcomers. I mean, that's always great, and the variety and is great to have. But I want those that are raised here, that understand our social norms, our social mores, to stay here and to extend that to other people. I want Washington County to be for years and years to come and generations to come, to be the open, warm community that we've always been.
Yeah.
Sorry I talk so long. See,
No, no. And you're right on target with that too, Judge. You know, I think about all of the people who've moved into your end of the county, to Willisburg and the Mackville areas, because of that beautiful farmland. Mm-hmm. And so we have lots of people coming to the community, I believe, and you can expand upon that. And we got the bluegrass right there, and they're getting on 555, Highway 555, going right on the bluegrass into Lexington, into Versailles, and various places. They might have to go up there to work, but those highways are so accessible to us that they can live in the country and commute to the city.
Well, there's and one group that I failed to mention that I would like to bring in this conversation is the number of young farmers that have chosen to come back. We do have a unique landscape, maybe not the best suited for a lot of grain production, but we've got some young farmers that have done tremendously well with large acreage, large machinery, and have become some of the biggest employers in this county. And at the same time, exactly what you're saying, we have a lot of people that, particularly out north, and I think it's kind of a well-kept secret, we have a lot of professional people that live in the northern part of the county that are professors at the University of Kentucky. I think there's one or two at Kentucky State University. There are doctors, there are surgeons, there are other lawyers that live in the northern part of the county that choose to go to work somewhere else outside of the county, but yet they choose to reside here in this county because they love the serenity, they love the surroundings, and so that's what we want to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's good. And I think, as I said, they value our way of life. Mm-hmm. You know, you can be as busy or as relaxed as you want to be. You can enjoy the beautiful scenery and stay all day in the hammock or work on the farm and, you know, whatever. I mean, I think we've just got the best of both worlds. That's what I tell people all the time.
You know, Lisa, I came down to the BMPW, the breakfast that was honoring the two ladies and the one business that was honored by BMPW. And I talked to the lady from Frankfurt that was the president. And she said she'd been to our community many times, and she just went on and on about our downtown, about the people, about how we supported each other. She was absolutely blown away by the number of people that just kept coming and kept coming to that breakfast. Mm-hmm. She said in her community, which is 10, 20 times larger than that, said they may have 30 people show up. Mm-hmm. And I think that day there were close to, if not over 200 people that came through to congratulate Nancy Hale, Alicia O'Cull, and then Hale
Realty,
Sale with Hale Auction and Realty.
Yeah.
And congratulations to those three groups and those two individuals. They were well deserving, and I'm so glad that BMPW does that because it brings recognition to ladies, particularly, and then the Business Equity Award for the Hales for what they do in employment and encouraging equality in the workplace.
Yeah. And you're a member of our organization,
yes, I am.
you?
And I did not get to attend the unhappy hour this year. I'll have to try to. You have to remind me next year of the exact date. Put it on my calendar. But I go back to something I said earlier. My mother was a school teacher. She went back to school when I was early teenager, got her master's, and she was a leader in the local school system, and then she was also a delegate to the NEA, National Education Association. And my mother was a leader in church and a couple of civic organizations. So I saw a model throughout my life, not a stay-at-home mom, and not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not degrading that at all. But I saw a very strong woman, and I saw that model, and so I've always thought that every woman was treated like that, and that every woman got equal pay, and that every woman got appreciated for their work. When I got into the real world, I realized that was simply not the case. That in our society in general, that women, by and large, even though there have been a lot of advancements and a lot of progress, there's still not equality in all areas of our society. And I work with some wonderful ladies in my office that are much more capable than I am, that make sure I get my work done. And so
they do their own work and make sure you get
exactly,
yours done.
Exactly. So I think it's wonderful that you all, that BPW has done that, recognize the ladies and the business that is promoting equality, and I applaud them for that.
Well, thank you. And you're right on that. And your wife Jill is an example of that as well, because I don't know many women that works all day at school, maybe, and your mother probably did this too, and then comes home and she'll be out working with the cows.
You're exactly right.
Because you still farm.
Right. But that's, for both of us, it's kind of therapeutic, because we love doing that, and so sometimes it can be stress relief, and we still do it to make a profit. We don't do it just to say we're still farming, but we love being out on the farm, and we just love nature. You know, I get to see the turkey and the deer that all these people come into Washington County to hunt all the time. I get to see them on a regular basis, and it's just I enjoy being outdoors.
So you still have your cows?
Yes.
And those are beef or milk?
No,
at one time you did milking.
Exactly. We were dairy farmers, but we are strictly beef. We no longer raise any tobacco, but we have a sizable group of cattle, and we have my cousin helps almost daily for an hour or two every day, and so it makes it much easier. It's not that I have to go home every night and do that, but some nights I do.
Yeah.
And Jill's right there beside me. You know that.
Yeah, so. I do. And now your son did not go into farming, but I do know that two of your nephews.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right.
Your brother's children have gone, because I interviewed them one day on Rising Sun's Beef. I don't know if you've got to see that interview or not, along with their mother, Charlotte. And so it was nice to see, as you said, these young well, golly, I had one coworker one time who did social work with me, and that was James Osborne. And he just couldn't stand it, you know. He was farming after work every day, and finally, you know, he had to give up social work and start farming full time. And so it just goes to show you, I say in Washington County, it's in your blood.
Well, I've been told by our county extension agent that Washington County has a higher number of young farmers, those 40 and under, on a per capita basis than any county in the state of Kentucky. And that's wonderful, because that kind of keeps people at their roots and their values, and it keeps people here in our county. So
right.
I'm so glad to hear that we have a very active young farmers organization, and we have some great extension agents, and that kind of something that I did want to talk about a little bit was the extension service, and they're moving forward with a new building. Have recently acquired an architect. They, for a few years ago, acquired the land out at the entrance to the industrial park, immediately on the right, kind of across from the technical college. And so they're going to build that. I think they have about, I think it's 12 acres, and they're going to build a state-of-the-art building. And so that's going to just enhance our agricultural influence and the education of those young people and adults, and it's not just for the young people. And then we've already got ground broken for a new library.
I was going to say,
it's exciting. I mean, and almost directly across from the new library, we have the new fire station. That's a beautiful building.
Right.
I mean, it's enhanced the western end of Main Street just it made it look so good. So there's a lot of exciting things happening.
Yeah, yeah. We just completed the Robertson building.
Oh, yeah.
And the apartments upstairs, and that
And
just
the Judicial Center is an
unbelievable.
old news now. It's been 6 or 7 years ago. So,
Yeah.
so that's old news. But
Yeah.
and we're currently, and I want to get in a shameless plug, I guess, for the county. We're currently remodeling the upstairs of the 1816 courthouse.
Right.
I don't want to say remodeling. We're restoring. And we will have an open house, and I will make sure that you're invited and all the viewers are invited. Because in the what little demolition that we undertook to get to the point that so we could build back, we uncovered some old beams, extremely large beams, some that were horizontal and some vertical, that were part of the original structure of the cupola and the old building, and they were hand hewn. They've got axe marks. There's no saw marks on those, and so a few of those we're leaving exposed. One's going to be in my office, and one's going to be in Sheila's office, the executive assistant's office. So I think it'll draw interest and make a visit to the judge's office even more interesting. And I think it needs to be showcased that our courthouse is the oldest courthouse in the state, and it was used up until a few years ago. Of course, we still use it for county court, for physical court. But hopefully by Christmas, we're going to be into our new building, our new surroundings. It's not a new building, of course, built in 1816, but so that's exciting.
Yes, it is. You'll be upstairs, and then who else is going to be in there? Will the county clerk stay where he is?
County clerk will stay in the Stone Annex. The county treasurer will be moving. Our part-time planning coordinator will be in the new section, and then we have an electrical inspector that comes part-time. He'll be in the part of the updated part. So,
Okay.
And then we're going to keep the old grand jury room. We're remodeling it also as that'll be kind of a committee room, and we're going to offer that to the public for small meetings. There's a nice conference table, and groups of up to about 12, 15 people could meet in that room, and it'll be open to the public for the public use.
Great.
So, and we have
Will you have fiscal court in there?
No, we'll still meet
Still
downstairs in
downstairs?
the courtroom. It's fully handicap accessible. Have an elevator that goes from the ground floor to every floor, and actually be more accessible. My office will be in that location than it is now. So, trying to think of all possibilities for all people in all walks of life to service them. So it'll be unusual for me to be on the second floor because I've always been on the ground floor, but it's still going to be more accessible, and I think the way it's arranged, I think it'll be better for an office environment than the house that I'm in now.
Yeah. And what will you do with the house?
Well, it yet to be determined. The court, we've not really had a discussion on that. Structurally, it is in extremely poor condition. The county has several buildings to maintain, including the courthouse, the annex, the sheriff PVA office, all the road department buildings, and then our transfer station. So hopefully we can reduce some maintenance, some overhead. But as far as what we do with it has not been determined.
I see.
One thing, Lisa, I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, so and it's such a hot topic right now because of what's coming up in the very near future is an election. And as we already indicated, we were at a rally last week. What I would like to urge, beg, plead with anyone watching this is please go vote. We sit here, and we're both Democrats, but I think Lisa will agree with me. The most important thing that you can do is go vote. Exercise that right. That there have been people that have fought for that freedom all over the world, and blood has been shed in this country for that right to vote. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you who to vote for today. There have been plenty of political ads and rhetoric written by both sides. But I just urge everyone to please get out and vote on Election Day. It means so much to our nation, our state, our communities. So I get pretty passionate about that.
Well, that's interesting you'd mention that, because we filmed an advertisement earlier on that very thing the Democratic Party here did, and to get out to vote. And last a couple of weeks ago, I had John White on the program, who did kind of lobbied for the Kentucky Education Association. And he was, meeting with legislators all the time. He talked about how important it was to vote. And John, as you well know,
John Warren?
Yeah, John, I said John White. I meant John Warren. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry. John Warren. And I said, as you well know, and I know from having been on city council, and you're being judge, we listen to voters. And because, when people go to the trouble to exercise their right to vote, that they care about what's going on in their communities and about what affects them. And so when someone, I said, I can't tell you how many times someone has said to me, I voted for you in that election, when I know daggone well they didn't vote at all, because those are public records.
Yeah,
you've probably
not
had
who
that
they voted
too.
for, but if they voted.
If they voted, we
yeah.
can't determine who they voted
Right.
for, but we know who the voters are.
Oh, I've looked at that before.
And I mean, because I was thinking, well, they don't live in the city, so they could not have voted for
Lisa,
me.
there's people say my vote just does not count. Well, in my lifetime, I know of at least 4 elections in Washington County that were decided by 6 votes or less.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
if you're, and one was decided by 2 votes. So if you say your vote doesn't count, just think, what if you and your wife had decided to go vote that day, or what if you hadn't have voted? I mean, so people's vote counts, and so many people, I like to say, you don't have a right to complain if you didn't go vote.
Exactly.
But people are still going to complain. But still, I urgently plead with you to go vote.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and as we said in our commercial, their vote does count.
Yes,
it counts. And what they have to that is going to determine who is going to be making the decisions for them in their communities, in their state. And so anyway, and I urge people also to try to study the issues, not just listen to a
soundbite.
A soundbite.
Yeah, because there's so much negative put out there. There are some real issues that we're facing, and I think if you go under the surface and quit watching the TV and read what each candidate stands for, and not only in the governor's race, but the down ticket races, and there are distinct differences, and so people need to decide where they stand on that difference, and then to vote.
Yeah.
Something else I would like to get across, and I don't know how much time we have, but is a couple projects that I've really, transportation issues, and they are not county issues from the standpoint of being a county road, but they are so vital to Washington County. The first one is Highway 150 that runs between Springfield.
I was going to ask you about that one.
Springfield and Bardstown into Nelson County.
Yeah.
If you travel east on 150 all the way to I-75 at Crab Orchard, that road has been improved. And because of that, we're getting so much more truck traffic and traffic in general. But when you go right below St. Catherine, to the bridge on below St. Catherine, that road has very limited shoulders. There are no passing lanes, and that's some of the, here a few years ago, that was the most fatalities of any stretch of road that was in the whole District 4 Transportation District. Why, I don't know, because it's flat, a lot of it's flat, but then you have the hill there at the Berg, and part of it's already been done. The new bridges at the Berg are part of the whole master plan. So I've been working with that project. I did get a little money appropriated last session to do the study, but this is a funding session. This is a long session. So I've really been working with those that I think will be in charge in the transportation in the next session, and trying to get more funding for. It's broken down into projects, into sections.